Welcome to Inside the Wires, hands down, the best podcast in all of racket sports. Listener discretion may be advised for a younger audience.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Wires, the post-Thanksgiving edition. That's Ben, I'm Noah, and we are really pleased to have on Stephen Mitchell without Johan Durant, who talks too much. So we're glad to have Stephen and let him get a word in edgewise. Stephen's a great guy, South African player, and doesn't get nearly the credit he deserves, and we're hoping to try to rectify some of that tonight. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
The guy.
Yes.
There we go. All right. Welcome back to Inside the Wires. We are super excited tonight to have two-time national champ Stephen Mitchell on. So that's Ben. I'm Noah, and coming to you live from Boston, Stephen Mitchell. Stephen, hey, how are you? Thanks for hopping on a Thanksgiving weekend. Speaking of that, I guess, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was really good. Thanks for having me, guys. Always fun talking to you guys. But no, we had a very good, relaxing Thanksgiving weekend, so it was good.
So just for some perspective on the life of a rackets director, is a holiday weekend actually really a holiday, or is it just as much work with other events and everything else?
No, for me, this one is pretty quiet. So again, I definitely love my membership for that one, because they kind of know that it's one that they encourage. They're like, you got to be with your family now. So it's
that's awesome.
That's
nice.
a good membership.
Yeah. So you actually had like 4 or 5 days off?
Yes, off since I did work Wednesday, so I've been off since Thursday through Sunday, and be back tomorrow. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, I my first year teaching paddle, I made the mistake of running a turkey shoot on the Friday after Thanksgiving. For any pros, it's the worst fucking thing, because you spend the whole day of Thanksgiving with people going, I've got like a calf injury. No, you haven't.
That's
you
right.
drank too much, you ate too much, and you regret saying that you would play paddle at 8:00 on a Friday morning. That's all it is. So I decided to do my turkey shoots kind of like the Friday before, and everyone's still in town too.
Yep.
But yeah, and then you get a vacation.
Or you do it, have it be a member organized event, right?
That's what I did this year.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, we had same with our guys at our place. I think there was 24 of them that went out and did like a round robin type deal, and then had like a semis and a finals. And I swung by there on Friday just because they were great guys, and swung by and had a beer and watched a little bit, and that was great.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice, fantastic. So how was your summer a bit? I know you had a camp going on. What happened for you this summer? Obviously, you put the rat paddles away and playing those other crazy sports that have rackets that I don't understand. Tennis, maybe pickleball. What happens there?
Mostly tennis for me. It was a good season, busy season with the tennis, and then actually got to go to South Africa with my family for the first time in 3 years with all the COVID stuff, which is awesome. Because unfortunately last year I missed my younger brother's wedding because there was another outbreak and we were going to go and then couldn't go. So, for us, it was, the highlight was really that we got to go back to South Africa. So did a safari, all that stuff. It was pretty phenomenal. Yeah, that was cool.
Nice. So who wait, you say your family? Sorry, I assume you'll probably mention them a couple of times. Who's the family? We got the wife, kids.
Wife, 3 kids, and then so boy, girl, boy. Aiden, Camilla, and Graham. My wife Stacy. And then my family are all. I have 3 siblings who are over there, and my parents in South Africa. So it's just really us that get together. It's good. Yeah.
Nice. And we're in South Africa.
Cape Town.
Very nice.
Yeah. So it's like our highlight of the year, that trip. So it's pretty awesome.
Oh, is Stacy South African as well, or is she from the U.S.?
No, she's from the U.S. Yep.
Gotcha.
Married
Did you meet her in college or after school?
Yes, met her at the University of Alabama. Bama girl.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's accent and everything.
Less now than then, but yes, because we've been living here for a while, so she tries to hide it.
Does it come out when she goes back down and hangs with the family?
Or just when I piss her off, but
yeah.
Now, so being South African, I have to ask you because I told the story last week on air that I was at a tournament here in Chicago and somebody came up and said, "Hey, you love the show. Where just out of curiosity, Ben, he's got that accent. Where's he from?" I said, "Oh, South Africa." Which always upsets him. And I'm curious, as a South African, does it sound even remotely South African or no?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But the one that I get the most often is Australian. But and that's a really big insult. So
Americans
I'd rather someone say, "Are you English?" than Australian. So
well, Americans have no clue between English, South African, Australian, Australian, and like New Zealand.
New Zealand, yep.
No clue.
Like
you could say any of them and they would nod their head and go, "Uh-huh."
Yeah. They're not all the same.
Get out of here.
Exactly the same.
I gotta tell you, Stephen, sometimes when I don't feel like so anytime someone goes, "Where are you from?" and I say England, they generally go into like a half hour about how they're English, and they tell me, do I know someone in England? And
yep.
Yeah. So I started telling people I was actually South African because they don't know anyone in South Africa. They don't have any family there, and I don't have to have a fucking stupid half an hour conversation giving a shit about someone's background, where they're from in England.
That's a pretty good move, actually.
Yeah, I need to do more research on South Africa if there's any follow-up questions, but there generally aren't. Yeah.
Hey, you just throw Cape Town and Safari, and then they just talk about animals.
That's it. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
So I'll show my ignorance. How big of a country is South Africa, roughly, population-wise?
Population-wise, about probably close to like 60 million, I think.
That many, all right.
Somewhere,
so why do you think it is? And again, I don't know anything about tennis, but obviously within paddle, there's certainly a good number of, I think, South African male paddle players, which I'm assuming meant that probably came over here as on college scholarship for tennis or whatever. Is there a disproportionate number, do you think, of really good South African rackets players, tennis players, whatever, or is that just my perspective on it from paddle?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just from paddle for you, mixing with those people. But I do think that we put out a lot of good tennis players. Mm-hmm. And then the problem is when they get to 18, there's no real funding or a federation really in terms of an organization like there is the USTA. And then guys just come over and play college tennis. And I mean, you'll find that, there's guys that really good guys that are like a random school, and I don't mean any disrespect. Like a very good friend of mine went and played at Old Dominion University, and he was like 100 in the world in singles and 90 in doubles. Like that seems weird, but it's because nobody knew who he was. He didn't have funding or finances behind him when he was a junior, but he's incredibly good. And well, Johan's kind of an example of that too. I mean, he didn't even come to the US for college because he didn't even know about it really at that time. So, whereas he would have obviously played at like a top 5, top 10 Division I school. And then after guys come here, then they actually realize there's a lot of opportunities in tennis and now more in rackets, meaning paddle, pickleball, all these things. So it's kind of a cool, it opens a lot of doors for us.
Sure. I mean, but the South African Sports Federation just doesn't see it happening and want to put more money to keep people there.
That's just not organized enough, to be honest. And there's, again, I don't know the ins and outs, but there's a fair amount of corruption and all kinds of things. And
in government, no.
Yeah, no. So exactly. So it's just not organized. So to be honest, there's a lot of guys who I grew up with who would have been very, very good tennis players and potential. And a lot of guys get kind of just fall through the cracks that could have been very good pros. But if you're not, if you don't know people or funding or that kind of stuff, guys come over here and played college tennis and then met people who then sponsored them and stuff like that, but there's nothing like that at home.
So even the junior program isn't well supported.
The junior stuff is pretty good in terms of once you get to 18 years old, then it's like, because now you're open, and then that's when it falls apart, because then you have to coming out of South Africa, you have to travel everywhere else to play futures, challenges, and those kinds of events, and that's massively expensive traveling from South Africa to everywhere else, because you can't base, and then so it's just too costly, and that's where people get lost, and that's why they do the college route, and then they realize there's other opportunities as well. So
when in juniors, you guys had some badass tennis players, I went to high school with one South. How old are you, Stephen?
40.
Oh, you're a young man. Oh, so he might not be. He might not
Don't
be.
feel like I am, but anyway.
Like I went to school with a guy called Coley Van Zyl.
Yeah, Coley Van Zyl, yeah.
Oh, okay. He's.
Yeah.
I think Coley's like maybe he was a year older than me, so he's
Hey,
like 44, 45.
Congratulations. You just pulled the you're from South Africa. Do you know
No, he's a
so-and-so?
tennis player. He's a good tennis player, and I
Right, right.
assumed
I
they
actually
would
do
know each other.
I do know who that is. Yes.
Fuck you, Noah.
That's good.
But he was another one of those. I don't think had really, we did some high school, and I can't remember where he ended up going to college, but
UAB maybe.
it might have been
Alabama, Birmingham.
Yeah, but not a big time school.
No, but
right.
still,
yeah, you went to the big time Alabama school.
Well, yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, what was Alabama when you went there? What were you guys ranked?
It was good. We were always top 20 when I was there, and we got as high as like 11, I think.
Really? Oh wow.
We were good. Yeah, we were solid. So I mean, that at that time the SEC was actually ridiculous. Like the Vandy was one of the years that I was there. Vandy was 12th in the SEC, but ranked 32 in the country.
Wow.
So all 12 teams were in the top 30. And then the very next year, Vandy actually made like the finals of the NCAAs, and they were like 2 in the country. They had a guy, Bobby Reynolds, played there. They had a bunch of, I mean, there was a lot of good guys came out of that time period. Yeah.
So is it true at Alabama they have a Guy Moore plaque up on the wall?
I did not see that, so I can't comment on that.
Do you know Guy Moore?
Please
He was a legend.
I do know who he is, but I got to know him through paddle.
Yeah. No, Guy Moore was at Plainfield Country Club where Martin Bostrom is now. I think Guy was there for like 17 years, but Guy's probably, I'm guessing Guy's maybe 6 years older than you, I would think. 5 years old or something like that. So
he looks at least 15.
Guy's done some hard living in those years. That's for damn sure.
That's a hard 46 right there.
He did teach me my favorite shot, the 3-panel slam, though. I love that one. That's a Guy Moore specialty. So Guy the legend, yes, from Alabama. All right, so back to summer. A lot of tennis, no pickle at all over there at your place?
A little bit, but not much. We have the surfaces that go on the paddle court. So to be honest, those are hard to play on. It's just not enjoyable. The club's going to be looking at trying to find space to put courts, but land is at a premium. So it's tricky.
I thought you were just a conscientious objector to pickle, which I understand.
No. I've kind of gotten into it, and I'm playing a fair amount, trying to play. I don't have that much time now during this season, but we're trying to play some. So we'll see.
Do you like teaching it?
Sorry, no. I do. I mean it's like the easiest one to teach, but
see, I love teaching it because it's like you can teach like someone with no athletic ability, and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm so good!" And you're like, "Yes, I forgot." Okay, like,
yeah, and that's the big reason the sport's growing the way it is, right? Because almost anybody can pick up a paddle and play it.
Yeah, it's like bowling.
Yeah,
it's modern day bowling.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I will say it was interesting, and I know you did the SA Rackets camp this summer up in Owl's Nest, and it was interesting because when I was up there, a bunch of the guys, I think there was Johan, there was Mark Guinness was up there, Tyler Frazier was up there. I'm trying to think who the fourth person was that was playing, but I remember a couple of times we walked up there and the guys were out playing pickle, and it was pretty interesting to watch a bunch of high level, obviously rackets players, but paddle players then seeming to have a lot of fun playing pickle, which I don't understand, but to each their own.
Well, actually, I don't think Tyler and Philippe Rams had played much, and like Jan kind of was like, "Oh, we're going to go play some," but then they started liking it because also you can hit people a bunch, so it's kind of fun.
So Johan enjoyed it tremendously.
I think they got him a couple times too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And so would you play in some of those games when you were up there as well?
Yeah, we did. We didn't get to play. We played a little bit, but not much, just because the schedule was busy. There was a little bit of a change in the schedule there, so I had a little more time for them to play then. But the camp was good. The camp was, when it was 3 weeks solid, and I mean, we had, I think it was 288 people or something come through in the
Wow.
3 weeks. And then we had a weekend camp was supposed to be November that got rained out. So that was another 32 people that were coming. So in total, I think it was going to be 320 people in the
Wow.
3 weeks and 1 weekend. So,
So what's the schedule? What are you guys doing to get that many people through in 200?
I mean, we're basically doing
3 weeks.
it's they come 32 people come for 2.5 days, and they do 10 hours of paddle, and we do an exhibition and a welcome dinner with them. So, and that's 2.5 days, 32 people, and the next 32 people come in, and it just keeps rolling.
So the 2.5 days, and then the next group that comes in, their half day is first, and then
Half
2
day, yep.
days.
Exactly. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we do-
You guys just
but-
knocking it out.
Yeah, but it's 10 hours of teaching every day. But we have a number of pros, so we do rotations. So you do either 5 or 7.5 hours on court a day. We don't, ever do 10. That
Yeah,
would
but
be
that's
stupid.
still a lot in the hot weather.
No, it is.
Yeah.
But we were fortunate. We had a lot of good pros. I mean, we had Charlotte Sikora was there the entire time. We had Mark Innes, genius, Tyler Frazier, Philippe Rams, Felipe Osas-Koenig, Chris Humphreys, a lot of good pros. So we were very, very fortunate.
Did you guys buy Philippe a pair of shorts that are slightly longer? For the-
No, actually shorter. That's
Jesus,
actually-
I hope not.
Then even more women
Why
come
wear
to the camp.
shorts? Why wear shorts? Really make it uncomfortable for everyone.
So what's that like? I mean, camps have obviously blown up in popularity in the last, I don't know, 5 years, let's say. I mean, it was, there was a couple of them that have been going for a long time, but seemingly there's a lot more now. What are camps like for you guys? I mean, are they like a change of pace from day-to-day stuff? I mean, obviously it's not like a vacation because you're working an awful lot, maybe even more than you usually do. But what's that like from your perspective?
It is kind of a nice change in pace because you get a bunch of different people coming from all over the country that are really into their paddle, and they came for that reason. And so it's kind of fun. And I mean, you're only seeing people for 2.5 days. So
Right.
to be honest, even if someone is, kind of a dud, it's 2.5 days and they're gone. It's
Sounds
they're not there that
perfect.
long.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. But to be honest, I would say that we had amazing people come. So we didn't it to me, it flies by 2.5 days, like a group, it just goes by so quickly. It's tons of fun. And again, like I said, everybody's there because they want to be there. They're not,
Right.
they're there for the right reason. So it's always a lot of fun. It is work, but it's fun.
Do you
And
have any? Oh, go ahead, Noah.
I was just going to say, is it true that you tell every single group there that they're your favorite group, or is it just us? Just us you told that to?
Everyone.
No, it's only
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely our favorite group every
No,
time.
Noah goes to strip clubs too and believes that the strippers all love him too. Yeah, Noah. But no, like, do you have any stories can you tell? You don't have to name any names. Do we have any stories that we can tell from? Because I'll tell you, every spring and fall, like I go hunting. So we have some wild nights, and like I've had nights where, a freshly killed rattlesnake was thrown at me as we were sitting around the head was chopped off, but I didn't know that as it was thrown towards me.
yeah.
Fun stuff. But
Yeah, Ben wakes up with a diaper on his head, that kind of stuff,
I haven't had that yet. I did check my bed every night before I go to bed, and things are left in there.
What
This
happens
sounds
in
like a
the
good
woods
trip,
stays
yeah.
in the woods.
Yeah. Um,
You're welcome
but no,
to come.
we kind of keep it clean, which is good. I mean, I think early on there was a lot more, we talked with hangovers and that kind of stuff, but not so much anymore, which is good. But there definitely are some stories. Not going to share here. But,
Okay, fair enough.
we'll share with you. I'll share with you privately.
Good,
They
man.
were pretty funny. Guys telling stories and not realizing that Charlotte's room is right next to the living room in the house that we were staying in, and she could hear everything. So the next morning she pokes her head out and goes, "Hey guys, just so you know, I heard everything." And then certain people get really embarrassed. It was quite funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It's too funny.
Nice. Well, next time we see you and Terry Babs around, we'll have to have him tell a story about Noah, because
Okay.
Oh,
only
boy.
only Terry tells it, and it's amazing, and you'll get a kick out of it.
I'm
But
Look
curious
forward
what-
to it.
Well, I'm looking forward to making some more of those stories in Kansas City this weekend, so it'll be good.
Kansas, Kansas City. Is it the tournament this weekend?
Next, the December 3rd, whatever that is. Yeah, 3rd.
I love that
December.
tournament. That's obviously Steven's never gone to that one. It's it's like a step down for you, Steven. But that's a fun tournament. Like if you ever like need a confidence boost, Steven, and got to get some wins, go to Kansas City because it's. Noah, have you ever played it?
No, not Kansas
It's
City.
an
No.
awesome tournament. It's cool. There's no
forward to it.
huts or anything, none of that shit. But it's like there's fire pits and everyone's happy that you came to Kansas City. And
Yeah.
have you guys ever been to Kansas City?
I have not. Who runs the tournament? Like,
Is it Grand Battle?
No. It's actually not a director. Kansas City a little bit strange. They only not strange, just different. They only have 3 clubs with paddle there, and it's a member, not a director who actually runs the tournament. One of the clubs. It's Jim, and his name is escaping me. I apologize to Jim, but Jim.
Oh, okay.
somebody.
And I think it's the same guys when I played it, though. I played it once. And,
Yeah. But
But
there's
I tell you, Johan should never go. I was playing the final, and I FYM'd Peter. Shit, can't remember his name. Guy in St.
Hamtek.
Louis.
Peter
Peter
Hamtek.
Hamtek. I FY Peter Hamtek in the chest, and I got booed by like 100 people.
oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
no.
I go, this is bullshit. And and on the changeover, Peter fist bumps me. He's like, good shot. I go, you're gonna hit me, aren't you? He goes, absolutely. And I go, booed. It's like a whole different world. They
Yeah,
don't see
that
that stuff.
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't work then. No.
Yeah.
That wouldn't work.
yeah.
But I tell you, I went down there with Grand Battle, and we got off the airplane. He goes, you were hungry? I was like, dude, I'm starving. So he goes, I got the greatest place to go eat. And we pulled up to a gas station. And like, you fucking kidding me? And we stood outside for like an hour of this gas station. And I shit you not, if you ever go to Kansas City, I think it's called like Kansas City Joe's or Oklahoma Joe's or something like that. It might be the greatest food you'll ever eat.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works in
it's
in
amazing.
the South as well. Like in Alabama, you go to the biggest hole in the wall is the best barbecue. So yeah,
Really?
yeah, very similar.
Do you ever make it back to Alabama?
Haven't in I don't know. Last time I was back was probably I was actually thinking about that the other day. Someone asked me. I think it was maybe 7 years, 8 years ago, something like that.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while. It was a tennis reunion, and we went to actually I can probably figure it out. Went to the Bama the football game. We were playing Mississippi State, and Dak Prescott was the quarterback. So that was a while ago. Because he's been at the Cowboys for a while, so I don't know. Yeah.
There we go.
You mentioned names I had no idea about.
Corey,
I
Who
could,
this guy is?
I could see that look in your face.
I
You're like,
heard-
don't
I
know what
heard-
that means. Yeah.
I heard Cowboys. I was like, oh, okay, he must be good. Yeah. No.
Well,
That was
Ben's focused on that game where they run around right now in Qatar, where a 1-0 game is like crazy exciting.
Oh, you mean soccer?
What? I'm not familiar with that.
That would be football.
I
Football,
could-
Stephen.
Couldn't imagine a more boring game. Sorry to all the hundreds of people I've offended in the U.S. with that statement.
Well, hundreds.
Tens of people in the US.
That's right. I was being nice by saying hundreds, but
Yeah.
yes. 1-0 game was a cliffhanger. 90 minutes of excitement.
South Africa's not in this one. They hosted it a few years back.
Well,
But
that's the only way they get into it is if they host it. So yeah.
you just got to bribe FIFA with enough money every time. And you get to host it. That's how it
Exactly.
works.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk some paddle. How about so obviously got a Grand Prix in already, and what we're just one of the tournaments so far, right? For you guys,
Yeah.
the season opening went. So I'm curious, like for guys like you that me, I go to play a tournament, I get my three matches that I paid for, and I go home and I'm out by lunch. It's very nice, but I enjoy that. You guys obviously have a longer weekend to put some work in. Is the season too long for you guys when you start in last weekend of September and you're going through early March? Does it get long? Does it start too early, or what's it like for you?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think so. I think that's up to you. You can decide what you want to play, right? So I think it's cool that there's a lot more tournaments now than there were. So that to me is kind of cool. And obviously, we plan out the schedule accordingly in terms of what we're trying to play. We did obviously like last weekend we played Longmeadow,
Right.
because that's obviously Jeff Monod and John Hughes, and very good friends, great guys. So we obviously want to support them, and then we obviously get to play some matches. But again, there's certain tournaments we try and do different things, try and work on different things in the game as well. So that's kind of a bit of a fun aspect. Montclair, we did a few different things as well. Some didn't work, some were still fun. But
those didn't work as well. No.
Well, hey, wait. Let me, Stephen, I'm going to cut you off for a second here, because on our, Noah and I have a, like a Google Doc that we fill out and kind of ask questions and bounce around on. Noah has written down slow start at Montclair. The fucking guys, they made the final and then lost to the second best team in the game.
I wrote that. You wrote that.
Yeah. Well, okay. No, I didn't write this. Well, only one of the three of us on this call won the Montclair tournament, Stephen. But
this is true.
Yes. That's not true. Only one of us didn't win the Montclair tournament.
Oh.
Ha ha.
Yeah.
I mean, I missed dinner for it.
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah, you did.
See, only one of us didn't win the Montclair tournament.
So you said you're working on things. Like, what are you guys working on? First tournament of the year.
Well, that one was to try and see what kind of purposefully do a little bit of transition play, like move it up and back. And I mean, it was warm, so points are going to take longer to try and move it up and back and see how comfortable we are with doing that and how to do it best. You have to kind of test it out to see what works.
Right.
Against certain teams, I don't think we'd actually be doing that because we don't want to risk giving up the net when we have it. But against other teams that are maybe playing slow from the back, then, you're more willing to do it because you're okay with that.
So are you guys kind of like, I was talking to like Scott Mansinger or, use other sports like a Tiger Woods. At this point, if to win charities is great. Longmeadow is great. Like, the Boston is great. But for you guys, it's all about nationals? Like,
of course.
At this point, like, if you won every tournament leading up to nationals, but then didn't win nationals, it would be like, your year counts on that 4 days in March, 100%.
Right? That's, it's what, the 21 season, we won that nationals, but we lost a whole bunch of finals leading up to that. And then in 22 or whatever, the last season, we won most of the finals, but then lost the one that actually counts. I'd rather flip. I'd take the 21 season all day long. So, but that's, it is what it is. They played better than we did that day. It's all good. But
everything for the most part with you guys is kind of R&D until 4 days in March.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's awesome. God, I wish I could be that good one day at something.
It wasn't like that for me in the beginning, obviously, right? Because it was just kind of, I was trying to survive and stay out of trouble. Now I feel like I can actually contribute and do things that are going to help our team more than just holding us neutral, if that makes sense. So,
Sure.
I think that's going to add a little bit of a different dimension to it when people play us now. So we'll see.
Is it kind of the same thing? Like I know, you play first round matches, obviously, and a lot of times those might not be great matches. Is this kind of the same thing? Do you view those? And I don't mean this in a negative way to the people you're playing, but are those kind of warm-ups kind of getting the feel of things? Because obviously, you guys are really only playing together at tournaments. It's not, I'm assuming you're not playing pickup matches every week or something like that together to stay warm. So are those early rounds just kind of getting the kinks out a little bit to some degree?
Yes. Yeah. And we obviously we're pretty in sync in terms of what we're trying to do strategically against certain teams. And then, yes, it's kind of get the rhythm going and kind of get the feel going. And we also, again, Johan's an amazing partner. He wants me to be doing more things because that's the only way my game actually develops, right? The tricky part is, as good as he is, I could just stand on the side and then he can do everything, but that's not when we really get up to the top and playing the best teams, they'll find a way to exploit that. So that's not really going to work. So, that's something that we've been constantly working on. And then, playing matches, certain matches, we'll do things where it puts me in a spot to have to work on some things, which is great.
So can I, skip forward a little bit? The reason we wanted to get you on the show, and I text Noah during it was semifinals of Charities. I was sitting on the side of the court with your buddy Marshall Chapin.
Yeah.
And Tiernan. And, everyone around is, and everyone around is like, oh, Johan, greatest player ever. Johan. I'm like, all right, great. We know this at this point, right? Johan is great.
Yeah.
But so I was that match with Adam and Tyler.
Yeah.
I watched you for about 45 minutes. I didn't really watch kind of the match. I just kind of watched your positioning and you hitting balls. I'd kind of just focused on trying to watch you play the match. And I was talking to Tiernan and Marshall, and I go, please, no disrespect. Johan's awesome. Take Johan out of the equation. Steven's like the best player in the game. Like I don't mean it. No. I'm not saying this because you're on the show. I reached out to Noah and I go, I want to get Steven on the show because it's Johan, and Steven's like this badass player now. I was watching you play, and I think you could put you with, again, take Johan out of the game, put you with, I don't know, Drew or Martin Bostrom or Philippe Rams or Tyler Frey, anyone, and I think you'd win a national title. And I wanted to get you on the show without the lion, and like I just wanted to kind of give you the props of you are this badass paddle player now, and I don't think you get you don't get the credit that you deserve. I think you do from the guys that you play, but in the overall paddle world, it's almost like, well, Johan's so good. And I'm like, well, when you play with Johan, they're not trying to hit to Johan. So the other guy needs to be really good to beat Sven and Mick, or to beat, Adam or Tyler. So, I'm going on a rant here, but I spent a good 45 minutes just watching you. And I looked at Tiernan and Marshall. I'm like, dude, it's a badass player. Like he's as good as anyone, if not better than anyone else in the game of paddle right now. And, I told Noah this as the match was going on. I go, we got to get Steven on and screw Johan. We don't need him on the show. We just got to get Steven, and let's get him on the show. So there was no question in there. I just wanted to jump ahead and just say why we had to get you on the show today.
And I don't want to weird you out too much, Steven, but he's got a whole wall of just pictures of you on his bedroom wall. It's a little weird. I gotta be honest with you.
Just you and Jason Statham. That's all I got on my wall. That's it. But no, like, so when to put a question in this, before you played with Johan, who were you playing with? How did you get into the game? How did all this come about?
Wasn't really playing, right? So we played in 2009. Johan and I did.
Okay.
That's when he played a little bit before that, then got me to play, and we played for 1 year, and then we had our first kid. So then I was like, okay, I'm out now. And then the next year he played with Jerry and he won that. And then I didn't play. So that was 2010. And then I didn't play again until 2017.
Wow.
When I played, I actually came out. I started playing like in the league here in 2017, I think it was, or 2016. And then in 2017, I came out, I think it was 2017, must have been that one. I came out and played nationals with Dane Schmidgall.
What a good dude.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Awesome,
right?
Dude. Johan set me up to come out and play with him. I hadn't even played. I played maybe one tournament here in Boston with Genius, and then I played nationals, and then the next year, Johan and I started playing together. So, which was, it must have been 18 or whatever it was. But so, again, back to what you said, that's really nice. Again, obviously, the funny thing is that Johan's actually my biggest supporter and actually gives me the most credit. So I don't actually need to worry about what anybody else says. That doesn't really, if you know what I mean. Like, I understand. And the funny thing is, a guy here in Boston said this to me, which I'm glad I'm stupid and I didn't really think of it. In the 2020 Nationals, and I played really well. I didn't make any mistakes, but obviously Johan won the matches and I didn't lose the matches. But he said to me after, he's like, that's a really tough spot to be in, because if you lost, they would have all blamed you. But if you win, then Johan gets all the credit. I'm like, I don't mind Johan getting the credit. It's okay. I know I was still there. It's okay. But I didn't really think of it. I'm like, good thing I didn't really think of these things, because it would have been like, you lost it. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay.
Well, it's kind of like Flora and Anna. Everyone's like, oh, Anna's is an amazing player. Anna's awesome. If you watch the two play, Flora's the badass player of the two. She's not flashy. She doesn't miss. Yep. She controls the points. I just think you have to have that dynamic though, right? For you and Johan as a team. He's the one that, gets the glory and creates everything. But yeah, you are the one that if you lose, people are, well, it's Steven's fault.
Yeah, but I think that's how it works in this game. If you really want to be good, you have to, there has to be roles there, right? You can't both be, I don't think it works if you're both trying to play super offensive. I also don't think it works if you're both trying to play super defensive. So yeah, you gotta be both there. So you have to have both pieces of it. I think the thing that I find fun now is that there's some shots that people don't know I have. So then when I hit them, they're like, oh, they don't expect that to come from my side of the court. So I can sneak the odd point here and there, and people are like, what just happened? And that kind of then will shift people's thinking. So, that to me is the small things that I've added to it in the last year, I would say. So
I got to tell you, I'm very aware when I play with Scott Mansinger that it is 100% my fault when we lose. We haven't lost yet, Scott and I, but I am very aware, when I start missing, I'm like, oh, this is 100% my fault. Yeah. This is all on me. If we lose, you can't blame Scott,
So let me ask you this question. So, given what you said before about nationals being, really the end goal and kind of the things you've talked about, do you, when you're playing at that level and when the goal is nationals, I'm playing, my goal is not to win nationals. My goal is to have fun and maybe win a couple matches I shouldn't. But at your level, when obviously there's a whole different level of intensity and everything else that goes into it, is it still fun to play, or is it just, I want to be the best and I want to win, or do you, can you play and just have fun when you're playing? You know what I mean?
No, it's super fun for me. I love I need the competitive release too. So it's awesome to me to be able to do this, because you think when tennis comes to an end, you're like,
right.
I kind of what the hell am I going to do now? Which working is great and that's all fun, but it's this is a great release for me, and I love it. So I like the competitive and it's fun. So I feel I love it. I love the competition, and I love that. I also like that people are taking it a little bit more seriously personally, because I want to compete. So I enjoy that. Yeah.
So are you competitive with everything in your life?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
12, 9, and 6.
So my older two, now they're like, Dad, let's race, let's run. I'm like, you're not beating me yet, because as soon as I start losing, I got a lifetime of losing to them. So I'm like, no.
Yeah.
We play video games. I'm trying to beat them. We're competitive. So I was wondering, with the kids now, you still got to smack them down and keep them in their place, right?
Definitely still like to let them know that they can't take me in certain things, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, because once you lose, it's downward spiral. They got you for the rest of your life.
No, definitely. But for me, yes, I've always been. Now when I got older, I got to actually control my emotions. I still don't 100%, but my mom loves telling the story when I was a kid and we're playing checkers and I was 3 years old or something. And my mom, absolutely amazing mother, but wouldn't just let me win, because you don't just let your kid win. That's actually, you learn that later. And we're playing checkers and she beats me and I just flipped the board upside down. I'm like, this, whatever, you cheated. And that was it. She never played another competitive game with me ever again, because she said I was and I did. I used to go nuts if I didn't win. So I had to figure out how to channel that emotion. But yes, yeah.
Were you a racket breaker on the tennis court as a kid?
Lots.
So I was wondering that when I was watching you play, you were so calm and
no, lots
relaxed, and I was like, I think I gotta ask him. I think he was probably a racket breaker as a as a tennis kid. Like,
Yeah. No, my parents didn't even know that, but yes, I'll be in shit now. But yeah,
you know, don't worry. You're a big boy now.
I was traveling internationally, so I broke them and I threw them away somewhere, and then just that's what happened. But yes, there was definitely a lot of that, unfortunately. But yeah.
Well, were you sponsored by a racket company when you were?
Yeah.
Who were you sponsored by?
Dunlop and Slazenger. They were combined in South Africa. So yeah.
Right. So I was Prince, and back as like a teenager, if you broke a racket, you'd call them or send them back, and they would send me 2 new ones. And this is a horrible message to send like a 13-year-old. I just broke a racket and you sent me 2 new ones. I'm like, I have broken so many. Like, if my children behaved how I did when I was playing, no, you're not doing this anymore. Like, we're done.
Yep.
But I was traveling internationally, so parents never saw it.
Yeah. No, my parents would have killed me if they'd seen it. But yeah, I did get in shit growing up playing tournaments because I'd miss bad. And again, my parents were, talking about zero pressure, no pressure in terms of like I had to win matches or even play tennis. It was like there were 4 kids and we all played different sports.
Mm-hmm.
We just moved to a house and there was a tennis club behind the house, so I just hit against the wall, and that's how I got into tennis. There's no real tennis history, so it wasn't. None of that stuff was important to my parents. They liked the fact that I enjoyed the sport and I had some direction in life. That's great, but like if I did that kind of stuff, I got in serious shit, and rightfully so. But yeah.
So
Right.
did you have a high level of success early on with tennis then, or I mean, obviously later you did, you got to Alabama shortly after that, but early on were you successful?
Yeah, fairly. I mean, I grew up playing in South Africa, played all the local stuff. And then, when you get to like 16, 17, I was traveling, playing like the ITF tournaments, and then played like the junior Grand Slams when I was 18. And then it was basically, are you going to go pro or are you going to go to college? And I was always going to go to college because I was also at that time really small and physically I wasn't ready for it, but also didn't have the finances to go and try and play anyway. So college was always going to be the way to go. And then from there, I kind of played after that a little bit, and then, realized it wasn't going to pan out. So that's all good.
I always love when I like see guys and like, I retired from the pro tour. No, you didn't. You didn't make it. No, you didn't. You'd still be playing if you were good enough. You got to a point and you realized, probably not good enough at this to make a living. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Then life goes on, Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. All right. I got one for you. Lagunitas. Are you going to be playing it this year?
I can't. I'm so bummed.
You just broke someone's heart, Steven.
I'm so bummed. I know. I've already spoken to Noah.
That was gonna be the real test of his ability as a player.
No, it's just unfortunately just too much stuff right now. I mean, good stuff, but just too much stuff.
He might have to play with me now. That's how much you've just let him down.
Terry will be happy. I'll play with Terry. Terry and I.
Now I just got ditched.
Well, yeah.
I don't have a partner now. Thanks, Steven.
Maybe Mark Innes. We'll see. We'll get somebody. That's good. That's right. Well, there's always next year. Next year.
I would definitely. I'd like to do that as a family trip too. So I gotta figure that one out.
Right.
I think that would be a fun tournament, right?
Yeah.
Well, Toronto's a great family trip too in April. I'm just throwing that out there.
What's that?
The Toronto tournament in April. That's always a good family trip.
What date is that?
April 15th. The Canadian Open.
You can get your taxes done and then go play paddle.
That's right. There you go. I'm throwing it out there. It's just an option. I'm just saying. So, advanced planning, you have 6 months on that one. So
All right. He's going to keep asking. All right.
Absolutely.
Keep doing it.
So we know it's getting late here. We'll let you get going, but couple quick questions to wrap up. So we've asked this a few times to different guests, and it's kind of interesting to hear the thoughts. So you're the king for a day of paddle. There's no APTA board. There's no anything. You're making all the rules. What are you changing?
What am I changing?
What would you do to improve the game, make it better? A kind of open-ended question. It could be changing something in the court. It could be, changing something to reduce the cost of the courts. Could be changing rules of play, whatever.
Um, on a bigger scale, we'd be trying to get more. I mean, I'd love to see more courts in the Boston area that are actually accessible to people. I mean, like that. And again, it's not an exciting answer, that's for sure, but it's something
Yeah.
that it kind of hits with actually with myself and Johan. We talked about this the other day because at Longmeadow we were out there and we had all 5 of our kids for the weekend, and his oldest and my youngest, who was 7 and 6, played I think 7.5 hours of paddle. They wouldn't come off one of the courts. There was one court that was available, and they just stayed on the court the entire day, and it was so awesome. But then our kids were like, "Can we go play paddle when we get home?" I'm like, "No, not really, because we're how's that going to work? There's no real access, you know." So that would definitely be something I'd love to try and figure out. But in terms of rule stuff and those things, I would just encourage a bunch of FYMing, I guess. But
There we go.
you know,
Yes, sir.
other than that, I don't know. I don't really think there'd be anything. I don't know. I wouldn't change anything. I kind of, you know, I enjoy the game. I don't.
Here's a rule that almost got changed a little while back. How about lobs bouncing out of the court?
Yeah, I was asked that the other day. I actually think if you can hit a lob that bounces out, you should win the point.
Right?
You know, because the guy has the option to hit the ball out of the air. So it would kind of maybe add a little bit of a something and make guys not just be able to leave stuff and maybe speed it up from that standpoint a bit, I guess. But I think if you can hit a lob that bounces in and goes over, personally, I think it should be your point. But yeah,
that's where I go. All right. Should we get Stephen out of here with some rapid fire questions?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. All right. One of the all right, we'll get to that. Least favorite opponent.
Least favorite opponent.
Or you can name least favorite partner if you want to.
Are we talking personality or style of play here?
Anything you like.
I'm probably going to go with Juan because he still makes me the most uncomfortable with the stuff that he can do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hey, when you're coaching, something that drives you nuts. You don't have to name any names.
I know.
Right?
When I said, no, but you didn't know, because then why'd you do it for the 16th time when I told you?
And I always say that.
Yeah, I know. It makes you. Then I switch off. I'm like, okay, I can't. That's it.
I love that when I've just watched you make the same mistake 5 times and I finally come over to help you and you go, no, I know. No, you don't.
Nope, you definitely don't. Otherwise, or you're just really stupid, but that's okay.
And you said you just shut off after that. I'm so glad you said
it's
that.
tough for me to be engaged after that. Yep.
Right. All right. Best shot you've ever hit.
Best shot I've ever hit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Might be a backhand cut drop shot in the Boston Open against McNeely and Chawinski. It was like in the quarterfinals. It was a total, like he flipped the ball off the back screen that I didn't even expect to come over, and I just went like that and it went over. It was a complete, didn't know it actually happened kind of shot. Like I was like, oh, that actually went over. Didn't expect it to at all.
All right. So before I ask this question, I will tell you that Johan is the common answer for this. If there was one player in the game that you could FYM, who would it be? And I think most people are just say, like they enjoy pain. I think that they say that they want to FYM Johan, but
that's probably because they were on the other side of the net when Johan was FYMing them, right? So that makes sense. I
don't think some of these people have ever been on the other side of the net from him. They're just like, I want to see how this feels.
I don't really have anybody.
You're too nice.
Too nice of a guy.
To be honest, it'll be dependent on the match. When I'm playing someone, then if they do something that pisses me off, then I want to FYM them.
You never get like Adam Morgan after a fist pump after the first point of the match, and you're like, I need to hit him. I just gotta go after him.
That might be one.
I love Adam. He's a good dude.
But that kind of stuff, I don't know. That stuff doesn't really get under my skin. When I'm playing, that's not the stuff that I really think about, if that makes sense. But I don't know.
No,
I don't really. To me, it's in a match. Whether something happens, then maybe I'd want to do it.
All right. So the default answer is Marshall Chapin. Because I know he's probably listening. So you want to hit Marshall. That's fair. Good.
Hey, Marshall's a good dude. He was nice enough to come out and hit a whole bunch of lefty overheads at me in the corner to get me more used to the spin. So that he's a good dude.
He hits some serious spin, doesn't he?
He does. He definitely does. Yeah.
I don't know how he hasn't had to go to the shoulder surgeon yet, but
Yeah.
all right. So Noah, lead the way.
All right. How about what's the best piece of advice you could give to the average club player?
Listen to your pro.
Biggest thing for me is lob more. I just too much driving. People just drive all. I'm like, just lob a whole bunch. Like then you actually get to learn to see how the game actually works, and then you start seeing when the drive opportunities come. And I learned this the hard way myself. So yeah, definitely that.
Every time Noah asks that question, I feel like everyone's answering towards him.
Did I ever tell you when Terry and I played in Toronto, like, I don't know, 8 years ago, and we played Mansinger and Burka, and you know, we didn't know what the hell we were doing, of course, and even less so then. And so we play them and they beat us, I don't know, something stupid, 1-2, you know, it wasn't close. Obviously they were toying with us. And so afterwards Terry's like, hey, what should we do to get better? Blah, blah, blah. And he went off and they were talking to me for a while, and I come back in and he goes, what did they say? I go, same thing everyone else does. Don't drive it as much. So yeah, so I guess I've heard that before. All right. How about favorite city in the world?
Favorite city in the world is definitely Cape Town. Definitely Cape Town.
Interesting. All right.
I just watched, do you watch with your kids, Dude Perfect?
No.
There's these YouTube guys called Dude Perfect. They do like trick shots, and they've just started this thing called like Bucket List, and they just did Bucket List South Africa.
No way.
Oh yeah. You should look them up. Dude Perfect, and it's Bucket List South Africa. And they did all this stuff in South Africa, and I was like, oh shit, I need to go.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's definitely a trip that it's a bucket list trip. I mean, it's amazing. You have to go Cape Town and the coast and then go to a safari. It's just amazing.
And do you have to bring your own water to Cape Town?
No.
Wait, was it
No.
Cape Town, the city that just ran out of water?
Oh, they were having a big drought, yes. But
Oh.
you can, yeah.
See, there you go. Huh?
Yeah,
See,
no, he's sharp.
Well, it was a couple of years ago, they were like, they were saying we're going to run out of water, right? I assume that problem has resolved itself.
It has, because that was just we didn't get much rain that year, but also people don't know how to plan for stuff. So yes, unfortunately.
Gotcha. All right. Here's a good one. The next player to win nationals that hasn't yet.
Oh, next player to win nationals that hasn't yet. I'm gonna go Tyler Frazier.
Interesting.
All right. Interesting call. All right. We got two more and we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
Favorite superhero.
Favorite superhero, Superman.
Don't want to
Oh,
say
so
Robin, huh?
Superman. We had one person answer Robin. Yeah.
Honest question.
I think
The
the
honest
flying and
answer.
the lasers and stuff, I think it's cool. Yeah.
There you go. All right, let's see.
Hey, I got one real quick.
Go ahead.
Normally you're always playing, but do you have a favorite commentator? Someone you like to listen to when you watch the matches?
Brad Easterbrook.
He's good.
Yeah, I think he gives good insight to the game. Obviously, he played the game at a high level, but he gives great insight. And actually, what I like is he actually talks about maybe if stuff goes wrong for someone, he at least tries to talk through why they maybe tried this or that.
Yeah.
And he gives very good feedback in terms of what the players are trying to do.
So do you guys actually will you watch your matches?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Ooh.
I think there's a lot you can learn from it. So I absolutely do. And also a bunch of that's also trying to like pick up on other people's habits and things that they do.
Sure.
So I think I mean, now it's less so of that stuff because I've seen enough of the guys play, if that makes sense. But Definitely, I think there's definitely things you can learn from watching. Yeah.
Are you as horrified as I am when I see myself play?
I do get pretty upset when I see the same stupid mistakes I make over and over again. Yeah.
Is there anything you do when you're playing or after the point where you're like, why do I do that? Like, you got the Mark Parsons, the semicircle with the rub the hand on the back of the screen, or, the Juan Araya, the penguin walk around, is there anything you see you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that?
No, because I've kept the paddle in my hand most of the time, so I'm pretty happy about it actually. Because I know I want to throw it a number of times and I don't. So yeah.
No, he just watches and goes, I know. All right, last question, the most important one. Favorite movie.
Favorite movie is Gladiator.
Ooh, I just watched that the other night. It's so good.
I don't know, it just gets me fired up. I absolutely love that movie. And I watched it. It also just takes me back to when I was in, I think it was 2000 when that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it's just also the memories of doing that and going and watching with friends and all that stuff back in South Africa. I don't know, it always gets me fired up.
There you go. I watched The Other Guys last night. I didn't get fired up. So Wolf. Yeah, you told me
didn't like it?
No, I did, but it wasn't a fire up movie kind of thing, was it?
Stephen, have you seen this movie?
No, what's that?
It's Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. They're called The Other Guys. They're two police officers in New York City.
Oh no, I need to see this. Is this?
Oh, dude.
It's
one of the funniest movies you'll ever see.
It's
like,
on
when
Netflix.
When did this come out?
2010. 2010.
Yeah, I was going to say
What?
12, 13
Okay,
years ago.
okay.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
It might be one of the funniest movies you've ever seen.
Oh, I love Will Ferrell, so yeah, I need to.
Oh, it's called The Other Guys, and he's amazing in it.
Who's
Okay.
the Rock? The Rock is in it. Who else?
Samuel Jackson's
Samuel
in
Jackson.
it. There's
Yeah.
just so many good actors in it.
It's
Yeah.
pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Netflix, highly recommended.
You
All
need to
right.
report back to us after you've watched it, because
Gonna
it's
go watch it now.
fantastic. Go watch it. It's great.
After we play Lagunitas, we'll expect a full report. All right. Hey, you know what? Thanks so much for being on tonight, Stephen. It's great having you on. It's obviously super fun to watch you play on live streaming and in person, and just kicking ass and taking names. So it's awfully fun watching, and we appreciate you being on, and continued success the rest of the year.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it, man. It's always fun talking to you guys.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks so much, Stephen. Take care.
See you guys.
All right, Fade to Black, roll the credits. Thank you so much to Stephen Mitchell for coming on the show today. Obviously, if you're listening to my stupid voice, you are fans of ours, and you realize that Stephen Mitchell might be my favorite player in the game. He's just a good dude, and from his opponents and his partner, they'll tell you that he's legit best player in the game. But Noah and I were talking, and we agreed that for the most part, we think he's overshadowed a little bit. So we hope you got to learn a little bit more about Stephen Mitchell today. So with that, he's Noah. I'm Ben. This is Inside the Wires, and we appreciate you. We're out of here.